This is Build It Baby, the show for big ideas, brave pivots, and bold next chapters. So let's do it. Let's build it, baby. Welcome to Build It Baby. I'm your host, Penelope Bent, and today we are so excited to welcome Gail Gabriel to our Build It Baby podcast. This is to celebrate the launch of her new blog, Almost 80. Welcome, Gail.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here with you, Penelope.
Oh, it's so great to see you. So just a little bit of background. Gail and I have worked together for many years in a couple of different aspects. We met early on in around, 2012-ish?
Sounds about right.
In the modeling industry, and Gail was an amazing professional model, still is, and so that was kind of our beginning. And then through my online magazine at the time, Fuse Fashion Mag, Gail jumped in as my editor to help me with all the writing in the magazine, and then later on to the couple of ebooks which I've created. So to hear that you're creating a blog was so not a surprise. So share how you came about with the idea and continued to get this thing launched.
Well, I've always liked writing, and I just never probably had the nerve to do it in a way that other people were going to see it. And so when I turned 79 this year, suddenly I had this idea, like, I want to have a blog. And instantly the title came to me, Almost 80, because I thought, wow, if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it, right? And so with that, I got so excited, and then I thought, wow, I don't even know how to create a blog. So I had to do a little research like you do, and I actually got someone that was in their 40s to help me out, and they got me involved in Substack, which was what they had a blog on. And so it helped me out a lot technically, because I am not technically savvy. And once I got through that, then it was just, oh my gosh, now I've got to think of things to say.
Right.
Because I wanted to impart things that I've learned over the years that I thought would be beneficial to others. And especially as I've aged,
sure,
it just made a lot of sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I read your blog yesterday, the minute it popped on my phone. It was so well written. I just, what a great voice. And I thought that your piece in, things that we need to declutter or get rid of, things that we've lived with for a long time, was a great, that was just such a great topic. And I started all of a sudden looking around the house going, oh my gosh, we got a lot of stuff in these closets we don't need. And the kids don't want the stuff either. So
right.
I thought that the blog was really just spot on and very, very exciting.
Oh, great.
Did you find that in the process of coming up with the idea, did you in your mind feel like there were any myths about aging that you found to be interesting, that were a surprise to you? Was aging an issue? Was it that you were bringing the age in and weaving it in as a positive, or were there any fears there?
No, I think I always felt positive. I usually do feel positive about my age. I mean, there have been some times when I've gone, oh my gosh, I am this old. But I think one of my concerns was that as I'm getting my audience, I know that there's a range of people that are going to be reading it. And I wanted to be able to hit whether you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, or almost 80. And to make sure that somehow my message can apply to various ages.
Interesting.
But in terms of the aging part, I just really felt that I had something to share, and that it would be information that would hit a variety of age groups.
Well, what's interesting about the whole age thing is that because we're living so much longer, and we have at least here in the United States, such a healthy environment for the aging process. I think that your information and what you're sharing really does cross over into a variety of ages and very, very diverse. So that information definitely will be, folks will find that information is really strong and does apply to them.
Yeah, I think so. And I also feel strongly that the 70s today are really the 60s.
Yes.
Or the 50s today are really the 40s, because we are so much healthier. We are concerned about what we eat, how we exercise, and the way we look. And so I think that brings us to a whole different way of looking at the generations. And what I found, and as you found too, in the modeling industry, a lot of the advertisers don't look at it that way. So they really see that age group as being what it was in the past. So that when they're looking for an older woman, they're looking for someone who really looks older and is not as vivacious. So I had a problem with that.
Yes, I remember in some of the auditions, I remember you sent, you calling, or we were chatting about a particular audition that you were going to. And what was interesting is that you have such a tall, lean, chic, very contemporary look. And it was, oh no, that's how they're looking for. You need to really, take this down a notch, girlfriend, so that you look the part of someone that is perhaps in need of this pharmaceutical supplement or whatever the case may be. So, yeah, that was really, really a surprise. I always think when I look at those audition scripts, I always find it amazing. It's almost as though the cliche of what older is needs to be reworked a bit in today's marketplace.
I agree. Totally.
Because now, I'm looking at older. Actually, my husband and I were at the dentist not too long ago, and there was an older couple there. I remember, we're in our late 70s, 80-ish kind of thing. And this older couple were there, and they were just really bantering, and they had just such a neat relationship. And so when the gentleman got up to leave, my husband said, how old is your husband? She said, oh, he's 92. We're just getting ready to go to our class reunion. I just thought to myself, okay, well, that was kind of an older gentleman, but, 92 and that spry and that excited about life, you go for it. So, yeah, it was different. It's exciting.
Yeah, I think so, too. It's a good time to be alive, I think.
I think so, too. I know that you've talked a little bit about lessons learned and advice for younger generations. Can you share some of that thought with us?
Well, one of the things that I had a hard time with when I was younger, that I feel like I can express that would help people, is that sometimes you would go to work, and when I was working a 9-to-5 job, someone would judge you or make a judgment about something you were doing and have an attitude. Mm. And I realized that it wasn't necessarily me that they were directing their issue with or their attitude with, but they were coming to work with that. And so I was taking it personally.
Right.
And my whole thing now is when you approach someone and they might not be friendly or whatever, is to not take it upon yourself to think, oh, did I put forth some kind of a message that they're reacting to or what? But to just relax and say, you know what? This is not my problem. I'm just going to be myself, and I'm not going to carry this baggage. So that for me was a lesson that I wish I had known in my 30s.
Well, today, we're hearing a lot about toxic environments in the workplace. Mm-hmm. And I think I said not too long ago, I always know when someone is upset, 90% of the time it really has nothing to do with my piece of the situation or my part of the conversation. They, like you say, came in with, there's a lot of unhappiness out there and maybe a struggle to how to deal with that. And I do believe that I wish in our society, and especially in our workplace, that we would focus more on the attitudes and the energy that we're bringing to the environment, to our work environment, because it's really not fair to come in with that dark, toxic behavior. We're having to live with that for 8 hours, and we're at work 90% of the time. So, yeah, that would be something that I think is really a huge piece for people to understand. Most of the time, it's really not. You didn't do it.
Right, exactly. And the other thing, too, is how many times have we had conversations with ourselves about what we think the other person is thinking? Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how much time, hours I have wasted in the past just trying to figure out what's going on and not even, I mean, you have no access to what people are thinking.
No.
So why have that conversation going in your mind and wasting all that energy trying to figure out how to approach something? I mean, it's one thing to think about how you're going to have a conversation with someone, but to try to figure out their conversation back, forget it.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just crazy.
Well, and I think the one thing that over time you learn, if you keep going back for more and expecting it to be different, that attitude to change because you're trying to take the high road, I think it's just best to send love to that individual and send them on their way. Like, okay, you're the hell out of here. you're not really my go-to in my environment. I talk a lot about protecting the quality of our lives, and I do believe that there's a lot to be said about protecting ourselves from thinking that we can help that individual see it a different way or have a more joyful path. Mm-hmm. That's really on them.
Exactly.
And it's on us to protect who we want to share our path with.
Exactly.
Okay, so one quick question, and then we'll go on to our great listener questions. What is something new that you're learning at almost 80?
Well, listening to your podcast and talking about how we get, I'm not going to be able to phrase it as beautifully as you did, but how we fall into our own expectations. Because, I mean, one I can say in particular is technology.
Right.
Because I have a negative feeling about technology. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I can do a lot on my computer, but if something new pops up, I like freeze, right?
Right.
And my brain just kind of has a little stop in it. And so I know from the beginning, I've made it negative, and so it's always going to be negative.
Right.
And you were saying how if you don't get out of this connection with your brain that it's negative, that's your fallback. And so that kind of frightens me in a way because technology is not my favorite thing.
Right.
And so I haven't solved that issue, let's put it that way.
Well, you haven't exactly embraced it, but you
No,
aren't beating the daylights out of it any longer because I know exactly what you're saying. I think I mentioned that social media just made me crazy, and it was so confusing to me because it was so many moving parts or so many things to think about. For years, I would say, oh my God, this is just so horrible. I'm never going to get this. And then I realized, wait a minute, you're not getting it because you don't think you're ever going to get it. So I really sat a whole weekend and I chewed on that and started to try to shift that energy. So great. Well, I'm so glad. And I'm so glad that you're enjoying the podcast. That's wonderful.
Absolutely. I have a lot of chewing to do, Penelope.
Don't we all? You got to chew on it. Right. There we go. Well, we just keep throwing it out there. Well, it's that time for our listener question. And I have to tell you, I get such joy out of these questions that are all obviously that our listeners have put some great thought into. So this one this week is by Sarah, and Sarah is from Oakland, California. And the question is, what's one thing I should focus on right now to gain momentum? Now, I'm assuming that Sarah has got something going here, Gail, that she's chewing on and that she's starting. Can you share with us what your suggestion for Sarah would be?
Okay, first of all, I think positivity in your attitude is number one, because if you feel positive, even if you don't know exactly where you're going with what you're doing, but you feel like you really want to get there,
right,
that it will happen. Because I had that same experience with my blog. I mean, I'd never written a blog before. I didn't know how to even put one on the screen to write on it. I mean, I was really starting from the bottom up, so to speak. And then, you know, it's funny. I was so concerned about what my topics were going to be. I immediately made a list and had like 20 things. And I thought, oh my gosh, how often am I going to do this? Should I do it weekly? There's 52 weeks in a year. Oh my gosh, I don't have that many topics. But now, you know what? After I do a blog, something pops up in my mind and I already know, and it's not even on my list. So I think once you get a little bit of momentum going and you feel positive about it, it will float you.
It'll give you the wind that you need to move on. It's almost as though taking the first step, you know, if you push down, if you're riding a bicycle and you push down on the pedal, then the right leg starts to get that momentum going. The left pedal comes up and you push on it. So I think that I have the same feeling for Sarah. I would just keep taking the next step, pushing down on that pedal, getting that rhythm, getting the learning piece really can propel you. Mm-hmm. Just the learning about the topic or the kind of business that you want to share, going in and doing your research, getting that rhythm. But along with the momentum, one thing that I had never thought about before, and actually my husband mentioned it to me the other day, and he said he was really amazed over all these years at the discipline. He said, every day you go into your office at a particular time and you are disciplined to do the work that's on your list. And I have this thing, once I have it on my list, I try very hard to accomplish it. It's like this word of honor, right? You told, you know, don't you dare lie to me. You know, you need to make the time to get this done. And you can't take that, you know, that girlfriend phone call right now because you need to be disciplined here. So I think that discipline has a lot to do with momentum, because after you check it off, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, I did that. Then tomorrow you have your wings are bigger and you're flying higher. So I think that the doing and the joy of it all, once you can get past the fear of the first step, because we're all so worried about, oh my gosh, what are my friends going to say? You know, think I'm some kind of a jackass for coming up with this idea. And I was really surprised. Everyone that I knew was very, very supportive. They know I'm nuts and I'm going to do my thing and I'm busy girl. So they were very, very supportive of that. So I think for Sarah, I think you just keep pedaling, darling, and keep that momentum going. You'll gather the wings that you need just when you need them.
Yeah, that I agree with you totally. And I think list building is, I mean, number one in what I do, and you do too, Penelope. And I think that really helps you keep on track. And just to say one other quick thing is when my book group found out that I was doing this blog, they were like, wow, how can you just put yourself out there?
Terrifying.
I mean, they were thinking like, wow, that takes a lot of nerve to do that, to be writing and saying what you think and all of that. And I said, I never thought about that.
Oh, that's
It never
great.
crossed my mind. It absolutely never crossed my mind. I said, oh. I thought, wow, okay, well, you have your thoughts, I have mine. The end.
Well, it's interesting because I think a lot of people are afraid of, oh my gosh, I'm going to say something and someone's going to, make a comment about, you're full of poop and so on and so forth. And the thing that I found is that the older I get, I don't really care. In the day, that would have broken my heart and I would have wanted to throw myself under my bed crying. But now, these are my words. These come from my heart. They're meant to help. And, I surround my words with goodness. And if some folks, like you mentioned earlier, don't interpret it the same way, that's okay.
Agree.
So I think we're learning something as we're maturing here on this road.
Absolutely.
Well, please tell us how can our listeners, how can we find Almost 80?
Well, you can find me at Gail Gabriel at Substack.com. So that's GailGabriel at Substack.com.
Very well done. Very well done. And you can call her Gigi for short. But again,
That's right.
That's Gail Gabriel at Substack.com. Well, congratulations, my dear friend. And I am so excited. And I'll tell you, this woman is a great writer. She's an amazing editor. I don't know what I would do without her. And she knows everything about every grammar mark on the planet. So it's been a joy. I love you to death. And thanks so much for coming on as a beautiful guest to Build It Baby.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity, Penelope. You know how I feel about you, and it's just so neat that our paths have crossed and that we've become such good friends. I think we both have a respect for each other that we really appreciate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love ya.
Love you too.
Well, hey, huge thanks to Gail Gabriel for sharing the launch of her new blog, Almost 80. If her story inspired you, please think about sharing the episode and maybe tag us both. Until next time, always best, P. Build It Baby is a Rainy Day Production House original, hosted by Penelope Bent and produced and edited by Morgan Clymer. Music by Yuri Shemshashin and Oleksiy Holobiev. If this episode spoke to you, please follow the show and leave a review. It helps more dreamers like you find us. And remember, you're not just building a bold business or a career, you're building a bold life.